head into Montreal. You don't look like you've got a perfect view, but you can see the sky out the back window, I guess. So it's now 7 o'clock. Oh, we should listen to the news. Let's listen to the news. This is CBC in Canada.
The pipeline, it can carry up to 890,000 barrels per day of oil from Edmonton to Vancouver, and it runs, right through the national park. We've also had a few hotels share confirmation. The Moline Lodge, the owner shared visuals showing the entire hotel on fire, and the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge confirmed several hours ago that the fires had reached the grounds of that well-known resort.
All right, thank you, Paige.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Paige Parsons reporting from Edmonton. There are also evacuations in neighboring British Columbia. More than 400 wildfires are burning in that province. Michelle Gomez has the latest on the situation there.
I'm a little shocked, I'm a little nervous, I'm a little anxious.
The Alwyn Creek wildfire burning in BC's southern interior has forced the almost 200 residents of the town of Silverton to evacuate. Tanya Gordon is the mayor of Silverton. She says the fire has created a wall of smoke around the town.
To be honest with you, we can't see anything. It's a thick wall to the south. To the west, we see the occasional flame through the smoke, but it's pretty smoky. It's pretty soft in on the mountain.
The Shetland Creek wildfire has destroyed 20 structures in the Venables Valley, including 6 primary residences. Meanwhile, in the Caribou, the Antler Creek wildfire is burning just 2.5 kilometers away from the community of Wells. Ed Coleman, the mayor of Wells, says he is aware of 2 homes that have been lost to the fire so far, as well as some damage to nearby mining sites.
The fire is very volatile, but we have extensive resources on the fire. It's so well resourced that we have a fighting chance.
The BC Wildfire Service says it expects more evacuation orders and alerts in the coming days. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
A pillar of fire erupts from a building near Chico, California. A wildfire is burning close to the city, about 150 kilometers north of Sacramento. It has grown to more than 2,000 hectares overnight. Strong winds fueled the flames to spread. California fire officials say the wildfire is only 3% contained. People in surrounding communities have been ordered to leave their homes. Several structures have already been destroyed. Officials say there are no reports of injuries at this time. U.S. President Joe Biden will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later today at the White House. They're expected to discuss progress towards a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the remaining hostages. But last night, Biden gave his first Oval Office speech since leaving the campaign. The CBC's Paul Hunter has more from.
There is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life.
But, said Joe Biden, there's a time, too, for new voices.
Fresh voices. Yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
From the Oval Office, it was a remarkable and rare moment in U.S. political history. A sitting president willingly stepping back from his bid for re-election. Biden had announced all of this Sunday, but only now speaking publicly on it, underlining he'd heard his critics who'd argued he was seen as too old, and that his party would lose the coming election if he stayed in it.
In recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump at a rally in North Carolina took on Biden's all but certain replacement as Democratic nominee, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris.
You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here.
Signaling the coming battle for the White House promises to be a brutal one. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
The Pentagon has released an updated Arctic strategy, and it has implications for Canada. It warns low-level Russian activities in the Arctic are meant to destabilize Canada, the United States, and its allies. As the CBC's Maria Brewster tells us, the U.S. is promising more cooperation with NATO in the Arctic.
There is an awakening on the importance of the Arctic.
U.S. Republican Senator Dan Sullivan.
Let's just face it, from a military perspective, my view of the Arctic used to be, from the Pentagon's perspective, a strategic backwater. Nobody really paid that much attention.
The shifting perspective of the Pentagon towards the Far North was captured in a strategy released this week, one that spells out specific new threats. Aside from more cooperation in the Far North between Russia and China, the strategy points to events last May, where Russia was accused of jamming GPS signals crucial to international airline traffic over the Baltic region and in Eastern Europe. The new Pentagon strategy says it's a concern for the Arctic as well. Defense expert Rob Hubert says the U.S. focus on NATO in its new plan is something Canada should note.
International perspective, when you go through almost all of the previous American documents, one of the things they always highlight was cooperation in NORAD. If you go to this document, they talk about security relations with NATO. They talk about security relations with the Nordic countries. The mention of Canada is almost like a passing sentence.
Canada recently faced criticism of the U.S. over defense spending. The Liberal government, however, last spring released a defense policy that focuses on Canada's role in the Arctic and promises billions of dollars in additional spending. Murray Brewster, CBC News, Ottawa.
Crowds cheer along the Olympic torch relay in the Paris suburbs. Today, the relay continues in Saint-Denis. The torch will arrive in the City of Lights for tomorrow's opening ceremony. Olympic competition has already started, though. The first round of soccer games began yesterday, but as Sarah Levitt reports, it was a bumpy beginning. With seats filled and that familiar soccer fever, Argentina's men's soccer team took on Morocco in Saint-Etienne, France. It's game on for the Olympics and with a real atmosphere. Tokyo and Beijing saw COVID testing, empty stands, and video calls only between athletes and their families. But at yesterday's soccer game, a late goal by Argentina to tie the game in extra time was overturned, and fans managed to rush on the field in anger. The game was delayed by 2 hours as the stadium was evacuated and ended with empty stands. Later, in Paris, as Israel took on Mali, the team arrived under heavy police escort with worries over potential protests inside. Social media posts from fans show Palestinian flags flown with news ringing out as Israel's national anthem was played. Michael Levy, whose nephew Ethan plays on the Israeli team, was unbothered.
We don't care about the minority in France that does not support and is unhappy with the fact that Israel is here.
Historically, efforts to keep the Olympics free from politics hasn't been possible, and Paris 2024 organizers have prepared for any potential with unprecedented security on the ground.
coast to. So we often hear about the Arctic and what's going on up there. Canada has a military base up there. And it sounds like, well, you heard it, China and Russia have been messing with the signals up there, which messes with airlines. There's a lot of airlines that go to Europe, they go over the top, so they come across parts of Canada and over Iceland, I guess. It'd be interesting to be on a plane now and go over Iceland and look down and see the volcanoes. That would be very interesting. I guess you would only see it if you're going over that part at night. So it sounds like Jasper National Park is on fire. There's a fire burning north of the park. It was about 5 kilometers away, and there was one south of the park. It was 8 kilometers away, and I think, now I don't remember, but I thought it was, anyway, the one that was the farthest away has now reached the town of Jasper, and it sounds like the Fairmont Hotel is on fire. I think I stayed in the Fairmont, but I'm not sure. In my travel writing days, when they put us up in every place under the sun.
I went cross country skiing there once. Jasper.
Yeah,
We go past the ice fields. Where the ice fields.
yeah.
It's interesting.
I can't really turn you without
I know, no worries.
messing with the camera, and that means I'm
That was a long
distracted.
time ago. That was my student days in the 70s.
So it was Jasper where you went skiing.
All to the town. I didn't really go into town.
The park.
In the park, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when we camped in the Gaspé, which is up in the north of the St. Lawrence River. It's up in Quebec. So I guess we're going through a dead zone, so we'll pop in and out. and not through the mountains. So nice that it's cooled off outside. It's only 21 today. So 30 is what, 90?
Yes, 30 is about 86, I think. Something like that.
Okay, so 33 is 100?
33 is 90.
Oh, 90.
About 37 or so is 100.
Okay. I'm so grateful we live in the east, but the dampness is quite difficult sometimes. And oh my goodness, we have so many mosquitoes. The other day I want to cut a pathway on the ridge around the edge of the island. The ridge came from putting in a road, so that we ended up with a moat and a road, and then a ridge of soil on both sides. But the one on the outside they flattened it. Oh my goodness.
Is it,
What?
look for a gas station
Oh,
here.
okay.
I only see
66. Okay, subway, all those things.
Oh, yeah, there we are.
Esso Petrogan.
Okay.
We have to get gas. How is a Canadian dream? Well, I sleep well and I dream lovely dreams. Canada's a great place. There's much opportunity. To get into Canada, you have to have a skill and you have to be employable or a refugee from hard-hit areas. There's a lot of people trying to get in now illegally. Or maybe a lot of them are trying to get into the United States through Canada. There's these, I don't know what they would call them, but somebody with a company that takes illegals to the water, and then there's a boat, and then they take them across and drop them on the other side in the woods or something, and they have to make their way out to a waiting vehicle or a bus or something. But in the winter, people die there. Thank you, Willem.
You're welcome.
He's co-pilot. Actually, he's the pilot. I'm just here. I'm just operating the wheel. I'm the captain. What is the name of a wheel on a boat? Okay.
Use the left lane.
St. Albert. Albert.
At the light.
There's some friends around these areas, I'm not sure. So the Saint Albert could be Saint Albert. It could be either way.
Turn right onto.
I'll let you do the honors, and I shall sit in the car and enjoy.
Turn left onto St.
You're pretty close to the pump here. You can hardly open the door.
I can fix that.
That's better.
There we go. I don't want to cramp your style.
No.
Okay, then. All right, so here we are. So we have a prayer. Canada is full living. Canada is amazing. We don't go to London. We're going to Montreal, which is in Quebec. And they refer to things as in Quebec and in Canada. They separate themselves verbally all the time. Oh, that one's okay. Let's have a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you so much for the opportunity to drive to the Montreal Temple, Thank you for blessing us with safety and that we were able to get through Ottawa with no problems or holdups because of them changing a bridge.
How many squares are on there now?
2. 2. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for my wonderful husband. Thank you for blessing us all with families, with husbands and wives, and we're grateful for thy blessings in our lives. We're grateful that thou loves us and that thou takes care of us and sends us so many blessings. Thank you for this comfortable chair in the car and that it feels just right and I don't have to adjust it all the time. Thank you for blessing us with comfortable vehicles. Seems like my vehicles get better and better every time. As you get old, thank you for safety on the road. Please bless us all with safety. Bless us that we will be quick-minded and quick-witted is always good, but help us to be focused on the roads and the cars, and help us to be kind to other drivers. Help us to not block traffic and make people faster than us stick behind. Help us to be aware of people entering the highway and move out of the way. And we're grateful for the example of trucks and how they do those things. Help us not to take away or to get into the front of trucks, the kill zone, where they need that braking time. We're so grateful to thee for our many, many blessings. I'm grateful for the homes that we have. Please bless those whose homes are on fire or who are scared of it. Thank you for preserving us last night when there was a tornado warning, for blessing us so we could be in a safe place while the sky was green. Thank you for taking it away and not letting it hit us. I don't think it hit anything. We're grateful to thee for the many blessings that thou hast given us. We're grateful for our vehicles, our feet, our
Went to the washroom. Anything you need to buy?
all our transportation. Thank you for blessing us with plans and goals. I've come to know the importance of having plans and goals and schedules. When I lost Mary, that was very sad and it took a long time to get over it. I'm grateful that Daniel moved home to get my mind off those things. Thank you for blessing us with relatives. And bless those that have no relatives and have no family, those who have lived so long that they've outlived everybody that they know. Bless us that won't happen to us. Well, I guess you missed the prayer.
Sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, they missed the prayer too. It's all right. I didn't notice it had to reconnect. It was a good prayer. Look at these
Wonderful.
big trucks. Is that one full of pigs? Has it got anything in it? No, it might be empty.
Empty, yeah.
Empty.
Turn left onto St.
Then keep right to merge onto Highway 417.
Your wish is my command.
My wish is your command.
That's what I just said. Right?
Use the right lane to
Right to merge onto Highway 417.
My wish is your command. No, your wish is my command.
That's the right way. The other one is kind of the cheeky way.
Leave it to you to be the cheeky one. There's a mosquito. He thinks that he has the right to be in our car.
That one out a little while ago.
Yeah, this one's here. Boy, did they get me. The other day, I'm really pleased with what I was able to accomplish lately. I've been able to cut a pathway on the island. And before I was doing that, I was cutting a pathway from the lower entrance.
for about 100.
32 kilometers. Continue straight.
don't know if that works. Must be it. Anyway. Okay, we have to speed up. We're going 100. We're supposed to go 120 kilometers per hour. Thanks, Leo, for being there. Leo is my favorite constellation. Whenever I look out of the window in the middle of the night and I see Leo, oh, it's so beautiful. With his round head. Anyway, I was cutting that grass and mosquitoes were so thick. They were, they were like 10 on my hand at a time. And they were on my face, and my face is still sore. So many of them. I got bitten over and over in the same places. I don't think they missed a single spot. I wouldn't doubt if I have valleys on my face from all the blood they removed. Boy, that was bad. I should have worn mosquito repellent. I did wear it the next day, but as soon as I started to sweat, it didn't work as well. Oh, I don't want to use that spray stuff. It's nice to drive the same way, and I love this drive. It's about 4 hours, or sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, depending on the traffic and the holdups. There was an accident on the highway one day, and we had to, I had to figure out a way around it, and I took all these different roads I wasn't used to, but I kind of knew where they were. Ugh. Anyway, sometimes my phone is really, really helpful. She'll make it red where it's bad traffic or yellow. It's really cool that we have phones now. But you know, if Russia and China worked together and scrambled the airwaves above the Arctic, which affected flight navigation, that's pretty serious stuff. But we can go back to old school. You know, like, we didn't used to have all that in the air anyway. Here's a fat one. There he goes. The blood he's carrying along. Heavy baggage. I wonder if they can fly. Mosquitoes can fly as fast and as high and as with all that blood in their belly. They probably just go right out and lay eggs. He says, I'm so sweet. Willem is sweet. You've heard of a flower called Sweet William? Well, he's Sweet Willem. It's no I-A-M, it's just E-M. Willem. It's Dutch. I'm a little concerned about the sound of my tires. I know our two front tires have not got as much tread as they need. It's dangerous to drive fast in the rain. But we've picked out a few tires, 2 tires, and one with a good rim on it. One has a rim that's a good tire, and one that has no rim is a good tire, and one that has a rim has a bad tire. So I want to have to take that in and they can swap it out. But I'd like to try and change the tires myself.
If you have the one with the rim, we can just change the tire with the rim.
Yeah, we can do that one.
And maybe a job for tomorrow.
Now, tomorrow is Friday. So tomorrow I plan to pack.
Oh, yeah, you got the experience camping, that's right.
Yeah, so I have to find the tent and pack everything in again. It's not going to be as cold, so I don't have to take all the amount of blankets I took before. I took my homemade wool blanket that's made with pulled fleece. Oh, it's such a beautiful, soft blanket. I love it.
You have to check the minimum. Like the maximum is fine. It's about, was it 26 or 27 or something?
What are we
like that.
talking about?
You said talking about it being not so cold.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the maximum is fine. And the minimum, I'm not sure how far down it is.
I always thought of it as the high and the low temperature.
Yeah.
Maximum and minimum go for road speeds.
That too. But yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a high of 21 today, which is nice and cool. That's room temperature. But the humidity, I don't want to just have the vent on because the humidity is so high. I'd rather have the air conditioning on so it conditions the air before we get it. So we now have all the, this is a very different car. Instead of a gas that goes like this has bars, dots, little red squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't, it'll take me too long to count them. What?
They have 12 squares.
Oh, thank you. 12 squares. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yes.
And I'm calibrating it so because it doesn't go, it don't indicate evenly the amount of gas that is left in, right? So
does it run out of gas faster at the end than at the top?
no, it runs really fast in the middle for some reason. The middle of one of the squares. Make a difference on multiple gas, but it slows down the middle squares. Not many in the first squares, not many in the middle squares.
I wonder how much gas you have left when you get one bar. Once the one bar once the light turns on. I guess it might be in the manual, or it might be able
No, it's not in the manual, but I calibrated it, so I have a little.
How much gas do you have once the yellow light turns on?
I think.
Or how much driving can you do?
I don't know, and I don't tell you because you tend to leave it to the last minute.
Well, it came on the other day, and I had one bar, and I didn't know how much I had. I didn't know how.
Well, one bar is still okay if you're in town, but not if you drive long distance between gas pumps, right? But if you have 0 bars, or the last bar is down.
If you have 0 bars, are you out of gas?
Not immediately, but you don't really know, right? You know, if it just changes from one square to nothing, you still have some gas, and the light is already on when the last square disappears.
It's already on when you still have one bar.
No, you have. Yeah, when it changes, I'm not sure exactly when it changes, but when it's definitely when it changes from one bar to nothing, the light is already on, and then you don't know, of course, whether it's completely on or whether you have a little bit left. So you should give gas right away if there's no, even if you haven't written down or something. And it's supposed to be not good to leave it till the last little bit drop of gas. It's not good for the car.
It says, they say that when it's down to the last gas, it's the fumes. You lose a lot of your. Well, do you really lose the gas to the fumes? If it becomes fumes, it's still combustible.
Not sure about fumes, but there's only a little bit of gas left. There's all sorts of crud in there that will inevitably go there, and it'll be sucked up, just like the gas. It gets into the motor and it'll go to the pumps.
Okay. waiting a long time because it's that much longer between having to pump it. If you pump it up every time it's half full, you're pumping it up twice as often. And that's a lot of trouble. You know, you have to get out, you have to get the right side of the vehicle to the pump, and you have to bend down, pull the little handle, and open the gas thing. Get out, put in your card, and wait, and put all those numbers in, and push the right button, and you've got the possibility of germs on the buttons, and you have to get the cap off, and you have to squeeze it with your arthritic hand. It used to have nice little flaps so you could just open up and stick there, but I suppose people complained that they wouldn't pay because it put more gas in than they wanted, or something like that. So I don't know if that's why they stopped, but I imagine so. Some stations have it now. Well. You know, I was realizing, like, when I get into the car, I sit down in the seat first, and then I swing my legs in, or I bring them in one at a time. But if you're young, most people when they're young, they step into the car first, and then sit down, and then bring their other foot in, or maybe put one foot and then the other foot, and then I don't know how people do it, but I used to do it like that. But it's been so long since I got in one foot at a time before I sat. I don't even remember when I stopped. So I've been trying to learn new songs on my violin. I've been going through the old songs. There's some people on YouTube that have compiled the best of 64 and the best of 65 and and all the way up through the 70s. And I stopped listening to the radio at some point before I had kids and didn't have really access to the radio so much. I would always listen to CBC radio in the car. Every hour I would turn on the news. And sometimes the rest of it was very interesting. They have really interesting talk shows. Like this morning they were talking about tornadoes and where in Canada they are, and that there's more in the east than the west, which has to do with weather, with heat and humidity and rain. They don't have a lot out there, but we have it all in the east, and we have lots of beautiful trees because of it. When I grew up in Georgia, you would go out in the morning and you would see if it was hazy, you knew that it was going to be a scorcher, hazy, hot, and humid. But the sun would often come up and burn off the haze, which really meant that it absorbed it into the air. The warm air can hold more moisture than cold air. Hence, dew. So when the air cools down, it can't hold as much moisture anymore, and then there's dew on everything. What does bolt mean, Leo? You said my man looks bolt. What does that mean? What could it possibly mean? They keep coming up with new uses for words. A bolt is something that you use to attach things together, and you put a washer and a nut on the end, and then you tighten it up with your little wrench, or your big wrench, your drill. Click, 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 click. Yeah, so I've been doing all these paths, and it's really getting to be wonderful. We can walk everywhere. I don't just walk around the moat. Well, the moat road, the Aqua Trail, is flooded. At least, I would say half of it is flooded now. Would you say half? It's underwater, and the overflow area is ankle deep now with water on account of our beavers. But I don't want the beavers to not be there. Beavers are good. They keep it wet. Keep it less fire will come through if it's all wet. Are you trying to get rid of a mosquito? Oh, I see him. Look at all these spots on our walls. I think we've squished bloody mosquitoes on those walls in here. Leo asks, is Canada a newborn country or what? Really? Really? It meant massive in physical and mental strength. Ah, a bull. You are massive in physical and mental strength, Willem. He is my sweetheart. I just love him to bits. He's so gentle and kind and considerate and humble. He's pure. He's really pure. Oh, that everybody could have a man as wonderful as Willem. All women would be happy. So Canada was founded in what year, Willem?
1867, I believe.
1867. Corporations were here before people. Get that. Yes, the Hudson's Bay Company, they were harvesting, trapping beavers and sending the pelts back to Europe. And so the government was here, and when people would come and settle in Canada, they were sent to different parts of Canada. So there are groups. There are German areas and Italian areas and areas for Scottish weavers, and it's not like the way the United States was settled. The Americas was a place to send criminals. The criminals that were incorrigible were banished to the Americas.
Yeah, really? I thought they were sent to Australia.
That too, but then they were sent to the Americas. So I think I remember a number was 7, and I think it was 170,000 or 70,000 criminals were sent to the Americas, to the United States area. And so Americans are largely descended from criminals, or in 1620 was when the Mayflower came, and that's when my ancestors came from England and from Germany. But Canada was owned by, every time there was a war in Europe, the ownership of the Americas changed. So sometimes it was owned by the French, sometimes it was owned by the English. And after the French, there's a lot of French in Illinois and down through there. And that's because...
Louisiana.
What?
Louisiana.
Well, Louisiana is a different situation. The French were in charge in Canada, and then, well, the English would win the war, and then so there was, in Nova Scotia, that was French, and Jacques Cartier, who was one of the explorers who settled Canada, and Champlain, were they both French?
Well, they have French names. Imagine they came from France.
And so, anyway...
Maybe they're second generation, I don't really know.
Nova Scotia were told that they had to denounce their French ancestry or the King of France and pledge allegiance to the King of England. But they didn't want to do that. They said that they were the Acadians in Nova Scotia, but they wouldn't do that. They were going to be neutral.
I think they were in New Brunswick, or at least partly in New Brunswick. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, they were in Nova Scotia, is where the Acadians were. And so then they had this. The English got together, and they called a meeting of all the men, and they went to a church. And in the meantime, they put all the women and children on boats, small boats, and sent them off into the ocean. And then they let the men out of the church, and the men chased after the women. It was fishing community, so they all had boats. And the AMOC, the Atlantic Meridian Oceanic Circulation, took them down along the east coast and into the Gulf of Mexico, and they landed in Louisiana. And so that's where you have the Cajuns. Those are the Acadians from Nova Scotia, which is why New Orleans and Louisiana is so much French. Did you know that? Is he graduated or how? So Willem has a PhD in physical chemistry. Is that the same as inorganic chemistry?
Not exactly, no.
Organic and inorganic are such funny words because it now means not having pesticides or chemicals added. It's organic. But organic really means living, and inorganic means rock or not living.
Like pesticides are classified as organic molecules.
Oh.
Not inorganic. So
pesticides are organic molecules, that's right. So it's organically grown if it's got pesticides on it.
Organic foods, that is different than organic chemicals.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Anyway, you asked, are Republicans English or French? Well, that was a long time ago. So that was back 200 years ago or more. And the French, the names of places could be French, but a lot of them are native. They're named after the Indian tribes that were there. And I think Republicans are pretty well people that it used to be money was Republican and labor was Democrat. But then I remember when the Republicans pulled the religions under their wing. And so then religious people started being, not all religious people, but some religions started being Republican because it was conservative. But when you look at what Jesus taught and what the Democrats believe, which is to take care of one another, to help each other, that's what Jesus was all about, and not about money. So I've always been baffled why Republicans have religious people in them, because it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but lately it's become so strange. This one person saying that everybody that is a Democrat is evil, is far, far awful, blah, 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 blah. Painting them all is a terrible thing. Anyway, so now you have this great division down there. But I think it began 15 years ago when there was these talk show hosts would would talk about how terrible liberal things are and get everybody stirred up. And it was the same time that guns were becoming bigger and bigger thing, that everybody wanted their own guns, and there were pink guns for children. Little girls could have a pink gun. You know, more children die from guns in the United States than in any other country. Canada does not allow guns too much. There is some allowed. You cannot bring a gun into Canada. If you come to visit Canada and you have a gun, you have to give it away. You have to surrender it. Which is, I think it's the best thing ever. We don't have the Constitution that the United States is, with its First Amendment that says you can say anything under the sun and it's okay. You can't do that in Canada. Hate speech is illegal. It's illegal. I mean, you can say bad things about the government, but hate speech is illegal. And also, you do not have a right to own a gun. That is not part of Canadian culture. So most people don't have guns. Hunters have guns, and of course criminals probably have a few. And there's probably an underground gun stuff, but we have very few murders in Canada. We have, as I don't know what the number is in a year, but it's less than one city in the United States. It's very low. And in many places, people don't lock their cars, don't lock their houses. In cities, I suppose they do. But Canada is a very safe place. There's the odd crime. There's the odd, terrible person. But you see, Canada is mostly settled from England. It was part of the British Empire, and only lately did they repatriate the Constitution, which Quebec never really signed completely. They have a notwithstanding clause, so they would go along with it unless there's a reason they don't like it. So Canada is bilingual, French and English. But in Quebec, it's not bilingual. If there is English, it has to be in smaller print than the French, and it has to be second. So if you have a store and you have anything written in English, it has to be secondary to the French. Which I can understand their point. You know, everything around them is English, and they want to maintain their own culture. In Europe, every country had its own culture. But once the EU started and everybody could go from one country to another freely, they could immigrate. You know, it stopped being all Dutch in Netherlands and all German in Germany and all French in France and all Spanish in Spain. You've got a more of a mixing now. And so Quebec doesn't want to lose it. I mean, Montreal is half English, and parts of Ontario that border Quebec are very French, and much of Quebec is French. And so they don't really want to talk English to you. Some people do. Some people are kind and nice, you know, and they understand when you say bonjour with your terrible English accent. They realize immediately that you're English. Bon matin is supposed to be good morning. I'm trying to say that at the temple to all these French-speaking people. Most of them.
Usually they bonjour, I think.
Yeah, well, you know, both. But I'm just trying to learn things. Yes, you're right. Louisiana is English. But the reason that there's a French settlement in New Orleans is because of those people that came. What is PA? in this area are cement. So you hear in between each block of roadway, which is cement, there's a bit of tar insulation, which expands and contracts, or it allows room for the expansion and contraction of the cement. Cement in Canada is, you have to have I'm seeing them replacing it. It looks like it's 6 inches deep to replace one block of it. My face still hurts. I've never seen a moose on this road. Has moose crossing signs. Moose like deep forest. It's amazing that they can get through the forest with their huge stack of antlers. And they're such big creatures on tall legs. How tall are their legs? 6 feet tall, or much taller than, well, maybe not 6, maybe 5 feet tall. But Canada is English, and so English have been always known for their manners and their politeness and their cleanliness. And most of Canadians are from Europe, and so Europeans are also quite clean. Germans and Dutch. I don't know about French and Spanish. Are they very clean, Willem?
I think Spanish are. I'm not sure about French. Yeah, probably.
Anyway,
I don't know of any country that's known for its uncleanliness. I think it's all fine.
Well, in Europe anyway. When I was in Mexico, I was getting my photo taken, and the bus driver, I was on a press trip, and he came over and he said, "Wait a minute," and he picked up a bottle or something that was on the ground, and he tossed it over the cliff in order to make it a nice picture. I'm very grateful that Canada is clean. We don't have
except we need to clean up the roadside beside our property because of all this.
Well, that's true. People do throw things away, but in general, the roads are clean. But out our way, it's quite rural, and I think we live exactly far enough from town that you can eat your whole Kentucky Fried Chicken in a box dinner, and then they get to our place and they're ready to clean out their car, and they toss all their KFC boxes and their Monster drinks out the window. Must be a lot of people drinking those Monster drinks, energy drinks. Good morning, Nan. Sorry I missed you yesterday when I was playing Minecraft. Thanks for stopping by. I really like Minecraft. It's so relaxing. And I feel like I'm accomplishing something. It's not like you're just trying to win a game or something. I never try to win. I just try to live a peaceful life. I build places, and I make kitchens and living rooms and bathrooms, and I make a second story, and then I make enchantment table areas, and so I have to get all these bookcases to put around because books have power. And so there's this enchantment table you put in the middle, and you have 15 bookcases around it. It's really cool. If you don't have the bookcases, you don't have as much power, and the enchantments that you can get on your tools are not as good. So like an enchantment would be like unbreaking or efficiency, or so you can mine faster and and your tool will last longer. Wow, those are the cultivated lilies growing wild along the fence there. You're enjoying the moat walking videos, fish feeding. It's so interesting to watch when I toss the cat food into the pond, the water, that the fish are now, they were all tiny, and now some of them are this big. I don't know how long it takes for them to really grow, but it would be nice if they could start laying eggs. But there's this huge turtle on one side of the moat. He must be a foot across. That's not counting his nose and his tail. His nose is 4 inches long and his tail is another 6 inches long. They're a monster. So in order to stay well fed, he's going to eat fish. And they'll also go up and grab chicks or ducklings. Not chicks, but ducklings on the water. Look at the dark thing he's got over his license plate. How is that legal? Your license plate has to be legible. It's just their way of not paying their tolls. Well, now that I've been cutting these paths, I cut the one from the moat, from the Triaqua Trail, the car trail. I cut a pathway past Iceberg Teepee and up around to the waterfall, and that's really nice because now I'm going up and sitting by the waterfall. And once I'm up there, sometimes I like to walk home through the woods, which is very steep incline on those hills, but it's very open underneath. The maple trees are very big and have a wide crown, so nothing grows on the forest floor, which I love. I don't want to go bushwhacking when I go through the woods. Vaudreuil-Dorion is 31 kilometers. It's not much. Is that right? How can that be right? Aren't we going to Vaudreuil?
No, we bypass it.
Okay.
I think it's a turn off. I won't buy it.
It's strange because we follow these roads to get to where we're going. We follow Sorel Tracy, but it doesn't go all the way to where we're going. So on the way back, there's roads that go to Sorel Tracy that you don't want to follow. So you follow the roads, like one road that goes to the USA and something, but you don't want to turn to the USA. I would love to go south in Vermont. Hey, has my passport come yet?
No.
When was the last time you checked the mail?
The other day, yesterday,
Do you check it when you go to the dump?
Often, yeah. Maybe not every day, but every 2 days or so, or at the most.
What happened to my face is that I got bitten by thousands of mosquitoes on Monday. And it feels very bumpy. But I don't bump up from mosquitoes, but I wonder if this will change anything. So it was a lot of mosquito stuff I got. I'm glad we don't have West Nile virus in our mosquitoes. I mean, we did a few years ago. But I make this awesome cream out of my cream I got in Hawaii. Beautiful, wonderful cream. I put citronella oil and castor oil in it and mix it up, and that's my mosquito repellent. It works really well until you sweat. Oh, I think I already told you that. I say a lot of things many times. So if you watch all of the videos, you may hear things repeated. But you can tell me often people drop in and drop out. I don't know what you were asking why about, because I changed the subject so many times. Anyway, so now I've got a path that goes on top of the island partway around. I had to stop a few times. It was so hard work, and it got hotter. And I found that early in the morning I had less mosquitoes than later in the day. Later in the morning. So by 9:30, the mosquitoes were really bad, but earlier they weren't that terrible. Maybe it had to do with my mosquito repellent wearing off. I try and wear long pants and long shirt with the kind of polyester, the slippery fabric that I think it's tighter weave and it's harder for the mosquitoes to bite through. So I've got the path coming up to the bottom of the stream. I did that, but I didn't get all the way to the bridge. I'd like to connect everything so that you can cross all the bridges and go for a walk all around. We have a pathway around Fiddlehead Pond that doesn't go all the way around either. See, but it's because you run out of wire or battery by the time you get that far. So you have to come at it from the other end. And it's kind of sad because everything is blooming now, so you don't really want to cut all the beautiful flowers. But the goldenrod isn't blooming yet, so I don't mind cutting that. Okay, you guys, are you going to pass me? I'm going to come over in your lane because these guys are coming in my lane. Everything okay? So I have several bridges on the stream. That should be another one of my goals, is to connect all the bridges to pathways. The stream is high right now, so one of the bridges is floating. So it's a little scary to walk on. I stepped on it one day and realized that it went down below the level of the top of the water. Not far. I have the bridges connected by ropes to the trees or to the alder bushes, so they aren't going anywhere, which is very important whenever the water rises, because they'll just float around, get beached somewhere. And it's very hard to move them when they get beached because they're very heavy. I built them on the water, so I would put the beam out and float it across the water, and in some cases I had help picking them out on the other side. Did you help me with that, Willem?
I might have, I don't remember.
I remember when we rescued a bridge and we walked it upstream in the spring. It had flooded and was washed down, and we tied a rope to it, and we walked on land. The water was about a foot deep. We walked on land and we pulled the bridge, put it where we wanted it, put it back where it belonged. MTE accent E. What does that mean? T. Lavergne or something. I can't pronounce things in French. Are we in Quebec?
It's a abbreviation of some kind.
Canadians are very polite and they're very known for their cleanliness. I, however, am a disaster. I have projects everywhere, and they're always out. I've been trying to bring them in and put them away, but once you put them away, out of sight, out of mind is a real thing, and if I don't see it, I don't think of it. I have ADHD. You see all these ads now on Facebook for ADHD tests and whatever. I don't go for them. But time management and seeing the mess is the biggest deal. But I have Celexa, and Celexa helps me focus. It's not as good as Ritalin. Ritalin is real focus. You're just totally focused. Everything has to be put away in its place. It's interesting because when I used Ritalin, I understood finally how other people's brains work. People that are very tidy, that walk through a room and the room looks better as they walk through it, because everything out of place is put right. But without that, I don't see the mess. And Willem doesn't see the mess either, which is awesome, because I would have gotten judged badly. But he would just step over all the junk on the floor when we had little children, and he would just look for me, to find me, to give me a kiss, hello. And he never told me to clean up or what did you do all day. Never, ever, ever. I was a mom at home. I was very busy. I didn't get 10-minute breaks every 2 hours. 5 children. 2 of them, there was an 8-year gap between the second and the third. That's on account of 2 marriages. Which in some ways was helpful, but in some ways it was not helpful. When they helped me babysit, that was awesome. I could go bike riding. Or I would go bike riding in the morning before Willem left for work. He would go at 7:30 and get home at 7:30. Hi, Devin. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you for quite a while. Glad you could make it. How is life? Is it hazy, hot, and humid again today? When I grew up in Georgia, we didn't have air conditioning. Can you believe that? Never had air conditioning. My parents had air conditioning at work. They both left in the morning and came home in the evening. And we were at school, which was also not air conditioned. So my mother would open the windows at night and we'd turn on this big fan in the ceiling. We don't have them in Canada. We turn on the big, huge fan. It was probably 4 feet across or something. And these big flaps would open up. They were like that. And then they would open and the air would all suck up and every window would have all this wonderful, cool air come in. And it would just completely change the temperature in the house. It was wonderful. And then in the morning, every window was shut. And curtains were drawn, no light could come in. I didn't like being in a house that had the curtains closed. I didn't like it at all. It really bothered me. But my parents loved having lights burning, so they would always tell me to turn the lights on. Nancy, don't read in the dark. Turn the lights on. You're going to ruin your eyes. So we always had So we always have a lot of light on. But when I married Willem, his eldest daughter liked the light, like the curtains closed. I didn't. I opened the curtains, which was very strange to them because they weren't used to the light and the view. But 2 of my children have sensitive eyes, and they don't really like that much light. Well, 3 of them have a lot less light. My 5th one likes light. He likes a lot of light. But with computers, people also get into the habit of closing the curtains so they won't reflect on the screens. At church, we would have general conference, and it was on a television screen, and so they would turn off all the lights, and they might leave something on dim for people that were writing. So I didn't like that at all. I didn't want to go sit in the dark. Not at all. I would rather listen to it on the radio, or just listen to it with big glare on the screen. That wasn't a problem. I'd rather have a glare than darkness. I have air conditioning now. We don't have central air conditioning. Our house was built with the wood stove in mind, and so that was the heat, and there's no central air. So here it says Sorel Tracy, Toronto. So Sorel Tracy goes one way and Toronto's the other way. That's where it connects to the 401. That's Highway 30. If you stay on the road we're on now, it becomes Highway 40 in Quebec. And then it becomes Highway 20, I think, which is congested downtown, right downtown, with all the power lines running right alongside the road. That's very unnerving. So I haven't been bothered by the sun at all. Now it's up at the top edge of the window. I like that. .5 kilometers, so I better stay in this road. I'm going to go on to Highway 30, which is a lovely road. It completely bypasses Montreal. Did you know that Montreal is an island? It's called the Island of Montreal. And except in French, it's not called the Island of Montreal. It's Ile de Montreal or something. Anyway, and there's bridges. So as soon as we get on 30, we start crossing bridges. But that's because the rivers that go up to, I don't know which rivers there are. What rivers come to Montreal?
The St. Lawrence.
I know that one.
I'm not sure which other ones.
Because it circles.
Hey.
What?
Hey.
No, we're going this way, Willem.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Sorry.
Whoa. Worry me there. You've tried to mess me up a few times. Luckily, I have my own brain, and I am knowledgeable about these things now. See?
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of half asleep.
I understand.
My brain
You saw the word
functioning.
Montreal, and you saw the word Toronto. But it was 40 that goes into downtown Montreal, and 20 that goes, it forks here between Sorel Tracy goes one way, and Montreal Toronto goes the other way. So we take the Sorel Tracy route with the dollar sign over the car. It costs all of, get this, $3.80 to take this road. If you're going to Toronto and you want to take the road that you have to pay for, it costs you about $35.
For about 53 kilometers, continue straight.
Now, did you hear her say that? She said for 53 kilometers, continue straight. I lived in the States, yes. How long did it take to get used to kilometers? Well, now, first of all, let me point out, I lived in Athens, Georgia. So, your old stomping ground. So I know that Georgia heat very well. And we used to bake in the sun. We had Shea lounge chairs, and we would set them out in the driveway. As soon as the sun sun got hot, we suits and we'd turn over at turnover time every half hour. And then we discovered that if we walked along the river and we came up to the back of the apartment buildings, they had a pool. They each had a pool. There was 2 apartment buildings. I can't remember the name.
Stay in the left 2 lanes.
But then we would come, and as soon as we went to the pool, we made friends with the people that were at the pool. And so then we could go swimming at the pool because you had to have a friend that lived there. And so every day we would walk along the river, cross the pipeline, come up between the apartment buildings, and go and lay there and sunbathe all day. All day. All day. I'm lucky I don't have cancer all over my body. I just have a little bit on my face, and then they burned some of the spots off of my arms that could potentially become cancerous, but were not. So I said, just get rid of them now. That was good. Whereas my son, who is a redhead and very fair, he got the bad kind of cancer. He had this big chunk taken out of his elbow. But supposedly they got it all. But he avoids the sun at all costs. He does not like sunny days. He likes cloudy days. Anyway, what were you saying? So you lived in the state once. You lived in the States once. Yes, I was born in Chicago, and at 2, I moved to New Jersey, right up the George Washington Bridge in Teaneck. And when I was 7, we moved to Georgia. And when I was 15, I went to 17, I went to Jamaica. And then I came back and I traveled around, and I lived in North Carolina and Virginia and Phoenix. I lived in Phoenix for a grand 6 months, I think. Anyway, and then I joined the church and I traveled all around. And when I was driving south to go to Florida to check out Tallahassee University, the University of Florida, because I didn't want to go to the University of Georgia anymore. It was a party school. I hated it. It was awful. It was low morals. It was so awful. Anyway, so I was driving south, and I got a very strong impression that I should turn around and go to Canada and visit with a relative, my grandmother's sister, who lived in Canada. My grandparents were Canadian. And so I turned around, I drove to Canada. I phoned her on the way to let her know I was coming. And then I met my first husband and got married. And then I got divorced, met my second husband, who was perfect, and got married. We've had our 35th wedding anniversary, is that right? How long have we been married? Since 88, right?
87, I think.
87. So we're at 24, 5, 6, 7. So we're 3 less than 40. So we're at 37 years married?
I think so. As of December.
36 years. Almost 37. That's pretty cool. Choose wisely. Choose very wisely. And date the people that you will marry the people you date. So choose your dates wisely. Okay, now I have to slow down so I can get scanned. 20, I'm going 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Oh, the arm comes up and away I go. Getting this transponder. I really appreciate that. Okay, so when I came to Canada, as soon as I crossed the border, this was in the 76 border, and was it 76? No, I think it was 77. I joined the church in 76, and I didn't come to Canada until the summer, so those flying comers. So I came in 77. So, now what are we crossing here? Looks like the St. Lawrence. It's quite big, but maybe not. So everything was immediately metric. The miles an hour and the kilometers was kilometers then. And so the roadsides, instead of saying speed limit, it said maximum. And I don't know if the cars back then had it, but it had a little conversion chart. That one conversion chart when you came into the country. But I was surprised at how the terrain changed when I came into Canada. I don't know which bridge I came through. I don't know if I went up 81. Maybe I did. Maybe I came in on Alexandria Bay. Probably. I did go through Detroit once. They have a bridge and a tunnel. Anyway, so when I grew up, it was hot in Georgia. So I knew all the temperatures from 70 degrees up. I knew that 68 was cold when we turned the temperature down to 68 at night. That was the lowest temperature I was familiar with. And so in Canada, room temperature is 20, and it goes to 0 is freezing, and negative 20 is 0 Fahrenheit. I do remember once that it was 2 degrees in Athens one winter. So that was 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which would have been about negative 18 or something like that. But it was really hard to translate from one to the other. But I didn't really need to, because except in the summer, it would get above room temperature, which was 70, and it was now 20. So I knew that 30 was really hot. And closer to 20, 25, that was nice weather outside. So I guess I just learned that, but I still translate. I still don't know the translations between really hot. Like I know 105 degrees is really hot, but I don't know what that is in Celsius. But I know 52. I have a friend that lives in Dubai, and she was saying that her daughter's air conditioner didn't work in the car, and so she wasn't allowed to go to use the car until the air conditioner was fixed, because it was 45 degrees out, and 45 was too hot to be out. And I don't know if it's deadly. Is 45 deadly?
Well, you have to be careful.
Anyway, so
if it's 45 and humid, you have to be really careful. I think it heats stroke and stuff like that if you stay in it too long.
Oh, look at the sun.
And if it's so hot and the sun shines, I find that the steering wheel gets really hot and you can't touch it with your hands. If you have to wear gloves or something, or they also have covers for the steering wheels.
I heard that they have been taking the temperature of sidewalks now in the United States and finding that the sidewalk is 135 degrees at times. I know that the beach will burn your feet sometimes when I was growing up in the United States. But here it does the ground can get too hot to be barefoot. Okay, so it says Well, this looks more like the St. Lawrence. This is much bigger than the River. I saw something on the kill zone in front of a truck. It's really long. It was like, I don't know, from here to that truck. And so if you pull in front of a truck, because you'd like to be in that lovely empty space, you're pulling into the kill zone. So if there's a problem and the truck can't stop, it will kill everything in that zone. So what's this truck doing right behind me? I'm gonna pull out just so he's not right behind me. Oh, starting to rain. Gotta be careful of our tires now. We have winter tires on, snow tires, because generally they wear out by the time you need new snow tires. Instead of changing them over and putting on summer tires, all season radials, your insurance wants you to have snow tires on in winter because they have better traction. I don't know. I think all season radials.
It's an option. So if you can save on your insurance if you put snow tires on in the winter.
But then in the summer, the rubber burns off quicker.
So
I wonder how much of the surface of the road has rubber embedded in it. I wonder if you could scrape the surface and get rubber. When they repaved our road lately, they melted the road. They went across it and melted it all, and I thought they were done, but then they put pavement on top. I used to have 4 friends from Wisconsin that would watch my live videos. I really enjoyed that. We would get together and they would chat with each other and get to know each other better. Not all of them had Wi-Fi that worked very well. We now have Starlink, which I think is very good. It's much better than Bell, Simpatico, or whatever that was. I got up at 5:30. I didn't set the alarm for 5 today. I set it for 5:30. And it looks like we're going to be okay. We were leaving at 5:30 because I just, I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to get there late. Because if you miss it at the beginning, you can't get in. You have to wait until the next one. We're going to the Montreal temple. It's really, I'm spitting a lot. That reminds me of old people. I decided that next year when I'm 69, since 69 has such a bad rap, I'm going to be in my 70th year. Isn't that fun? Can you imagine me being almost 70? Wow. But I just taken it in stride. Oh yeah, the next number. Oh, this is the one that comes up now. We all start at different times. It's amazing how people freak out about people that are old. They think that if you're old, you're senile. But until you're senile, you're really smart. You've got so much wisdom. Unless you spent your life cleaning the house and making dinner, you've done millions of things. And you've done them all the wrong way, and you've learned everything. When you're little, how many times does it take you to hit the head of a nail? think we should have contests like that with the children. Okay, but you're gonna beat yourself. You've got to have an ongoing thing so that you keep score of how many times it takes to hammer the nail in. How many times it takes. Oh my gosh, there's a beautiful rainbow behind us. Oh, you can see it in the mirror, can't you? Maybe not. To see the rainbow, you have to have the sun in front of the sun. You put the sun behind you, and you face the opposite way, and then you'll see a rainbow. So if you have, that's a sun shower, right? We used to have a lot of sun showers when I grew up. We used to put the sprinkler on our yard, and we would run through the sprinkler. But I think that burns you can't do that in the daytime on your garden, or it'll burn the plants. But we would do that. I put the sprinkler out for the grandchildren the other day, and they have a slide. They would go walk up the slide and jump onto the trampoline. But I put the trampoline on the deck, so I could put the pool where the trampoline is. But the pool is uneven, so I had to let the water out. But there was still a bunch of water left in it. And then I see a whole bunch of these poles, metal poles that are in there, and there was no more water. So I imagine one of them pierced it. So now I have to figure out where the leak is. Brand new little pool, $150. But it needs to be somewhere that's level. So I have to level that area. And you can't put down gravel because that's rough. I should move it, put down this manure. That'll be good. He turns the manure over. I found a farmer that sells manure. And the way I found the farmer is I went driving up and down the roads until I found a farm that had a manure pile, or that had cows. And when I saw barns, I'd look for a manure pile, and if I saw one, then I would stop and ask if I could buy manure from them, and they would always say, "Oh, I'll give it to you." And then after they would give me a load, I would give them $20 and say, "I want to pay you for it so I can come back and ask again." And so they reluctantly took the $20, but they've made hundreds of dollars off me now. I'm glad but it costs a whole lot if you buy it at the store or at a depot. It costs like $50 for a load or something. $30 per bucketful. I get 3 bucketfuls for $20. I am very grateful. But yet the other day I tried to bring it home, and we have a very steep hill. Our road up the hill is and they added gravel to it because we have so much sand, and as they grade it, the sand from the hills, the banks, comes onto it. Anyway, so I ended up not being able to bring that load up the hill, and I was making tracks in this gravel, and I didn't get up the hill, and then my brakes would not hold the load, and so I was sliding backwards, so I had to put it in reverse and slowly let it go backwards. It was hard work because we have this steep cliff on one side and a ditch on the other, and a stream at the bottom. And it was a heavy load. Anyway, my little car was pulling it pretty well. But now that the rain has come, we had a heavy rain yesterday, and it's washed all that down. So now we have just gravel, which is the ones that are stuck. I usually drive up and down, 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 up and down to pack it. That works pretty well. Yesterday I packed some of it. I went up and down maybe 6 times. Or maybe it was only 3 or 4 times. Anyway, so it didn't pack it all, but but it's all washed away now. Now we have little rivulets across the road, and our berm is filling up with gravel. There'll be a driveway in there. Hard packed gravel. And that's nice because Ben raked the woods for us in there. I could never justify raking the woods because the forest regenerates by the dead stuff dying and rotting. But with forest fires being on the rise, thought we better be prudent. But after getting it down to the bottom of the hill, this big heavy load, I prayed about it, and I didn't pray and ask if I should do it. I prayed for help doing it. And so I drove it up the hill again. This time I didn't have it in second gear. I went as fast as I could at the bottom. It's a bit of a downslope at the very beginning. But then I didn't get all the way up to get into the driveway. I got beside the driveway, but I tried to turn in and my wheel started to spin. And it dug a hole in the road with such loose stuff. Anyway, so I sat there with my foot on the brake, fearing that I was going to roll. I couldn't put it in park and get out because it could roll. And so I beeped and beeped and beeped and beeped and beeped and called, Willem, Daniel, Willem, Daniel. They never heard a thing. But Enna heard, and she called Daniel, who came outside. I kept calling, help, Willem, help, Daniel, help, and beep, beep. My car alarm wouldn't work. I tried to do my car alarm, but maybe because the car was on. Anyway, but I had used my emergency brake to help me get down the hill safely. Anyway, so Daniel came out and he brought a log and he put a log under it. I expected a piece of firewood, which is angled, but he brought a round log, and then I thought, well, if he puts it straight against my tire, then I can't move. But he put it vertically, and then he put rocks so it wouldn't roll. And so then I felt safe enough that I could get out. And so then we had to wheelbarrow it. We had to empty it from the road. And it was right in the middle of the road. I was hoping nobody came up the road and couldn't get past.
In about 10 kilometers, take exit 55 to merge onto Auto Route 15 toward Montreal.
55 is the number. I have to write down these numbers. Exit 55. Traffic traffic is getting much heavier out there. So we're going to the temple today. I love going to the temple, and we try to book it every Thursday. And we've got childcare happening for them elsewhere on Thursdays. And so as often as we can, we come once a week. It's a long drive, but it's a wonderful drive. It's a good time to just get away and sit in the car and enjoy driving. And we start before the sun rises. Well, in the winter, this will be before the sun. The sun will probably be rising as we arrive. Well, maybe a little before that. They do change the clocks so it doesn't rise at 9 in the morning. So what part of Georgia are you in, Devon? Are you still with us? River, which is pretty small. That was a very short bridge. I wonder what all the rivers are that go into Montreal. I know there's a lot of bridges. There's Champlain Bridge and there's Lake Champlain. I'm not sure where that is. I don't know where it is. When we were young, my parents, we went up to, like I said, we went around the Gaspé. Well, in New York, we went to Lake Memphremagog, which was on the border. And I learned to water ski, and the water was so cold, unbelievably cold. He, who was from Georgia, where the water gets so hot, you feel like you're in a hot bath. We were camping one year, and the lake was so hot. You couldn't get cooled off. It was humid. So I was starting to tell you before, I'm learning new songs on my violin. And so in order to learn the songs, I watch them and make sure I know the song. Because if I don't know the song, I can't play it. I don't use the music, but I go to lyrics.com or A to Z lyrics, and I take a photo of the lyrics, because the lyrics, I used to sing these songs when I was growing up, so I remember the song according to the lyrics. I randomly found this live. Currently laying in bed sick. Hope your day is well. I'm sorry that you're sick, Mystic Show. I'm glad you're here talking to me. Do you have COVID? COVID is still out there. I read something yesterday. I think it was a study has been done about long COVID, and that if you had a vaccine, you're less likely to get long COVID. I think long COVID is the worst thing about COVID now. It's like Lyme disease.
In 2 kilometers, take exit 55 to merge onto Autoroute 15 toward Montreal.
Well, I hope you don't have COVID. But isn't it nice that you won't die from it? That you won't end up in the hospital on a machine to help you breathe. Of course, once you get that far, there's not a lot of hope, eh? Not a lot of people recovered once their lungs were that bad. But now it's so easy. It's just like the flu. Only who wants the flu? I find weakness is the worst. I find being weak. I
Use the right lane.
to take exit 55 to merge onto Autoroute 15 toward Montreal. Alright, 500 meters. Exit 55. Here it comes. Montreal and New York. I-87. So I could go down. This will be the one that goes into Vermont. I want to go there sometime when my passport is here.
Take the exit.
Then keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Montreal. I want to go down to Vermont. Use the left lane to keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Montreal. So now it splits. New York goes south, Montreal goes north. 15 goes north and south. And I guess 15, Autoroute 15 becomes Interstate 87.
In 2.3
kilometers. Keep left toward Delson and St. Constant. I tried to make my GPS take me to Connecticut, but I had marked no tolls. And I didn't realize I had marked that. And it sent me through Montreal. It was so many more hours to go there. I should do that sometime. You have to do what you want to do before it's too late, because you get older. But I'm taking care of grandchildren, so my time is not just all wide open like for some retired people. But if you have a family, you've always got people and needs going on. Okay.
Use the left lane.
To keep left toward Delson and St. Constant. So this is a merging road. That's why it just started back there. So I go to Sorrel Tracy, right?
Keep left.
Then keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North. 15, so I stopped taking Sorrel Tracy. Use the left lane to keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Route 132 East.
For about 21
kilometers. Continue straight. Okay, then. We did it. According to my calculations earlier, or the GPS, it said we would arrive at 9:07. I'm going to turn on the news.
Manila Bay, where the tanker capsized, hosts busy shipping lanes, and its shores are home to shopping malls, casino resorts, and fishing communities.
The UN Refugee Agency in Yemen says there are only 4 survivors after a boat carrying at least 45 refugees capsized off the coast. It said the incident happened because of strong winds and because the boat was overloaded. Sebastian Usher has the details.
It's the latest such incident on the sea crossing between East Africa and Yemen. Last month, at least 49 people died and 140 were missing after another boat carrying migrants went down after setting off from Somalia. Almost 2,000 migrants have died or disappeared along the route since 2014, according to UN figures, but the number of people willing to take the risk continues to grow. Last year, some 97,000 people crossed to Yemen from East Africa. The war-torn the country is intended as a temporary stop on the way to rich Gulf states further to the north and east, where the migrants hope to find a better life.
The military authorities in Burkina Faso have distanced themselves from a viral video showing people dressed as army officers mutilating a human body. The Burkina Faso Armed Forces said such actions were not consistent with military values or the rules of engagement. The video, which surfaced this week, was widely shared on social media, causing a nationwide outrage and hasn't been independently verified. World news from the BBC.
I'm Jen Jurecki with this Vermont Public News. Burlington has issued a boil water notice for certain sections of the city's south end.
Oh, this
City
is
officials
Vermont
issued the
news.
first notice yesterday afternoon following a break in a large diameter fire service line on Queen City Park Road. That break led to decreased water pressure for customers in the area surrounding the incident, and depressurization can lead to contamination of drinking water. Last night, the city updated the impacted region, so Burlington South End residents are encouraged to check the map on the city's website. Conservation Law Foundation announced Tuesday that it's going to sue the state of Vermont for failing to take enough action on climate change. A state law that went into effect in 2020 legally requires Vermont to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions, with specific benchmarks tied to deadlines in the near term and decades down the line. The Conservation Law Foundation says the state used faulty modeling to prove it's on track to meet the first deadline, which is next year. Agency of Natural Resources Secretary Julie Moore told DT Digger they investigated the modeling and remain confident in the numbers. And mosquitoes in Albert have tested positive for West Nile virus. That's according to the State Health Department, which says this is the first time West Nile has been detected in Vermont this year, as well as the first pool of mosquitoes to test positive during the 2024 surveillance season. To date, there have been no human or animal cases this season. The virus can spread through infected mosquitoes. Most who are infected do not get sick, though the virus can lead to serious illness. Health officials encourage Vermonters to protect themselves from mosquito bites and to eliminate standing water where mosquitoes breed. We'll have some morning clouds and a few stray showers that will give way to sunshine this afternoon, though there will be some scattered afternoon showers or a thunderstorm. That's mainly from the Adirondacks Route 2 and White Mountains north. Highs in the 70s to low 80s today. For Vermont Public, I'm Jen Jurecki.
There we go. That was the news. I guess in this part of Quebec, you get, that's PBS. Is that a public broadcasting station, PBS? Or Radio Canada. My GPS, we're supposed to be there in 3 minutes, but I don't see the GPS now. Yes, it's very cloudy here out there today. So what you do for a living is you work in the same job in retail for 11 years. Oh, you have your own machine to help you breathe. Well, I have a CPAP. Is that the kind of thing you mean? I must say I have been sleeping much better since I got the machine. I think that it has improved my motivation and my health, my energy level. I can see a big difference. I didn't have a good one. It had a recall thing on it, so I wasn't using it. Long guy. So now we let 15 go away, and we're on 132. So maybe we will be there in 3 minutes.
No, I don't think so.
What?
A little bit more. Maybe 10, 15.
It said 9:07, but the clock in here is 2 minutes wrong. Look where we are. We are very close. We're beside the St. Lawrence River.
In about 10 kilometers, take exit 85 onto Boulevard Roland Terrien.
CPAP machine. I got a new mask. You're from Houston, Texas. So how long have you been sick for? I'm sorry you're sick. I hate being sick. It's really hard to think uplifting thoughts. It's hard to think about anything except how sick you are, which is rather boring. Yes, so you lost your power when that hurricane went through, which would mess up your CPAP. So you've only been sick for 2 days. That's good. It's a good time to sit and play Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I'm getting better and faster at doing things. Like I'm becoming more efficient. Did you know in Minecraft that you don't have to mine coal to make lights? You just have to burn a log. Not wood, not planks, but a log. If you use planks, so you cut down one tree, you make planks and a log, and you burn that log and you get firewood. And then you need to make some sticks, and you can make light. All that time I felt like I was mining for coal so that I could mine. And it seemed like it was an echo chamber. Like I was really getting nowhere. I've also learned now that I just dig straight down. I have keep inventory on, so if I die I don't have to go find my stuff. But I dig straight down 4 blocks at a time, and then I put a ladder. And then I make a little room right there, and then I go 4 more and make a little room and put a light, so that if I'm on my way up and I want to get off, I can. Otherwise you have to go all the way. Some people use water, but down in the water coming up if it's too far. I usually start at, whatever I'm at, which is probably 62 elevation, and I go to -60, -59 where the diamonds are. And then I do branch mining for diamonds. And I can find a dozen diamonds in 10 minutes. So it's really worth my while. If I have to go downstairs, and that just took forever. Really looked at all those buildings there before. This road is nice because the exits are a lane that is added. If you go on 20 in downtown Montreal, the lanes, you don't get new lanes, they just split. You're always ending up in the wrong lane. The water side. See, there's the port. The temple is right across from the port of Montreal. There's an old port and a new port. I think it's across from the old port.
In 2 kilometers, take exit 85 onto Boulevard, Roland-Terrien.
Oh, I guess when we stopped for gas, that must have added to our time. And I haven't been looking at the GPS. I've been on this one. Making a video. Using up all my battery.
Oh, I probably am loaded up here. You can unplug me and plug it back in.
You can do it. There we are.
Use the right lane. To take exit 85 onto Boulevard, Roland Terrien.
They say that 87% is the maximum that it charges to. And then if it knows your schedule, it will charge at the last minute.
Take the exit.
All right, we're doing it. We're taking the exit. See, there's the port right out there with all the ocean liners. Lakers. Now we go around a block, and then we go alongside this road some more.
At the next light, Turn right. at the light, Turn right onto Rue d'Auteuil. Then turn right onto Rue du Parc Industriel.
Rue d'Auteuil? What does that mean? Is that what this is? Auteuil?
Yeah, that's it.
I know that's it, but what did she say? Rue d'Auteuil?
at the stop sign, Turn right onto Rue du Parc Industriel.
D'Auteuil is what we're on now. That's what she's saying, right? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Dotai.
Dotai?
Yeah, I have to look at the way it's written, but I think it was Dotai.
Dotai.
at the light, Turn right onto Rue St. Charles Est.
How do you say est? Oh, she's saying it right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're paralleling our highway again.
in about 1.5 kilometers. Turn right into the parking lot.
I love the temple. So peaceful. So
Stay in the left 2
so much love in there. You know you're in a city when you hear sirens. There's those lift things that lift the containers off the ships. Look at that, we left half an hour later and we're still 15 minutes early. Or 10 minutes early. But we were too early before. We had to wait for a long time. I was about to do a Willem.
in 1 kilometer, Turn right into the parking lot.
So do you play? I can't read while we drive. Oh, you do play Minecraft. Yeah, I love Minecraft. I play it. I make live streams while I play it, so I can talk to somebody if they're on. Oh, what is he saying?
No.
Oh, that one is beeping at that one because he's not. No. Oh yeah. You cannot turn right on a red in Quebec, but in Montreal you can. So you play too. That's cool.
Go past this light. Then turn right into the parking lot.
We get another stop sign light. I can read this, which we have right here. Oh. Parking lot.
Turn right. Turn left into the parking lot.
Okay. I'm going to just pause right here.
You've entered the parking lot for your destination.
There's Willem. Willem the Good. Yeah, when I'm going on long trips and there are rivers or oceans, I enjoy to look across at it, especially during sunrise or sunset. Yeah, you play Minecraft. Oh, that's awesome. I do live streams for scary games mostly. I don't do scary games, and I don't do peaceful, but I do easy mode, survival. Okay, so here we are. There's the Montreal Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Isn't it beautiful?
Arrived.
We have arrived. We have arriven. Here we go. Holiness to the Lord, the house of the Lord. We go in here and do work for others. We have families sealed together and other things. But we made it. Thank you for coming along. It's been great to hang out with you. So, Mystic Show, thanks for being there. I'm sorry you're sick. I hope you feel better soon. Okay, let's have a little prayer before we go. Turn off the car. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here safely, for helping us to not have any deer or moose or animals on the road. Thank you that we were able to navigate the traffic safely and that our car worked well and the tires are still fine, and we didn't have much rain. And we're grateful for the blessing of being here again and ask that Thou will bless us all with safety and with a wonderful day and help us all to have goals and to have hope in the future. And these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, goodbye, guys. Take care. Hey, Nan, you've been here all that time. I love you guys. Thanks for coming. Bye. I gotta find that X. There it is. Shut off. All these messages are all coming in all of a sudden. Okay, goodbye.